Hello, I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man, and I'm with James Williams. James is a partner in JMW's Insolvency and Restructuring Department and based in Manchester. Hello, James.
Hello, Dominic.
So it's been an unprecedented time during COVID-19. There was a peak in 2019 of insolvency events, and then there really seems to have been a decrease in them. Why is that?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but it won't be a surprise to you to hear that COVID has something to do with it. You're right, 2019 saw record numbers of formal corporate insolvencies, and as we moved into 2020 and COVID hit, those numbers really fell off. And the reason for that is because of the government intervention into the economy. So things like the furlough has taken out a lot of payroll. So if you've got employees who weren't doing anything, weren't making any money, that was dealt with by furlough. There was a moratorium on landlord rent enforcement, which meant if you had a building and you were paying, otherwise should be paying rent, but you couldn't use it because of COVID, you didn't have to pay that rent. So that took those two events took major cash flow pressure out of most businesses. And then we had government backed loans like the bounce back loan scheme and the CBIL loan scheme, which again, to the extent that anybody did have some cash flow pressures and they could prove that they were eligible under those schemes, they injected cash into those businesses to resolve the problem. And we also had, there was like a voluntary forbearance from quite a lot of creditors. You know, we're in this together, you're our main customer, supplier, we want you to survive. So there's quite a lot of goodwill, particularly at the beginning. HMRC, the largest creditor of most businesses, was enacted a formal forbearance regime. And then we had a restriction on winding up petitions, which effectively prevented anybody from trying to pursue debts that should have been paid by winding up. So those things combined, really.
You mentioned earlier on about government support and in particular furlough. I think both the Prime Minister and the Chancellor have said that they expect furlough to end at the end of September. Do you think that will lead to more insolvency events?
Yeah, it must do. The furlough ending in September is timed as well to coincide with the lifting of the restrictions on winding up petitions. So those two things combined should just inevitably lead to an uplift in insolvency, formal insolvencies. But last month in the market we saw an uplift in creditor voluntary liquidations last month, and we are hearing that there's a lot of inquiries out there in the market as people prepare for the end of furlough and they prepare for the end of the winding up restrictions. So I do think that those two things will inevitably lead to an increase in insolvencies.
And I know that you assist businesses that get into financial difficulty and also organisations that are owed money as well. So generally, what's your practical advice for over the next couple of months?
To seek professional advice. I know that's like the standard answer for a lawyer, isn't it? And perhaps seen as self-serving. But if you're a director of a company in trouble, you can face personal liability and you can face a claim by a liquidator to be held to account for your actions during the run-up to the insolvency. There was a protection or a supposed protection in place put in by the government in relation to restriction on pursuing directors for wrongful trading, but it really didn't have any teeth, and I think it was more comfort than anything. But the market out there felt that it was almost carte blanche for directors. So definitely to take professional advice to protect themselves more than anything, because quite often they're trying. Most directors are trying to do their best by creditors. They're trying to see everybody repaid. But if you don't take the advice and you do it in the wrong way, you can do all that hard work and then still end up with a claim against you at the end of the day. And conversely, we do act for creditors who pursue debts and want to chase for payment. And the advice there would be to get ready to be active. Once the restriction on winding up petitions is lifted, there's going to be a lot of people waiting to put petitions in, and it's one of those things. Active creditors get paid.
James, thank you very much for your thoughts there. And of course, if you'd like to speak to James to get more bespoke advice, you can email insideman@jmw.co.uk or call 0161 82 81 999. I'm Dominic Walker, JMW's Inside Man.